Hello, welcome to the morning show with me, Martin King.
And me, Aisling O'Loughlin. Left completely blind in one eye after being attacked by bullies, Kayleigh spent months in recovery. Yet despite her ordeal, the young teen has discovered a talent for singing.
Had I not had my music, I can honestly say I probably wouldn't be here today, or as strong as I am today, because I can honestly say music did keep me going.
We're going to be speaking to Kayleigh and her mom shortly.
Kayleigh Cullinan was on her way to a friend's house one evening when she was attacked by bullies. Emotionally distraught, she retreated into herself, but worse was to come when 10 months later doctors discovered she'd suffered a detached retina and was slowly going blind.
Despite her traumatic ordeal, however, the young teen has found solace in singing.
Following the surgery, I had to lie face down on my pillow in my bed, completely. I was let up 5 minutes every hour. And I basically had to lie face down, no iPad out, no phone, no nothing. I wasn't allowed to use anything, so I kept my iPod beside me. And I had my mum changing songs and stuff like that. And the only thing that kept me going was my music. And I think had I not had my music, I can honestly say I probably wouldn't be here today, or as strong as I am today, because I can honestly say music did keep me going. And then coming up to the second operation, I had found the Il Divo album, and it was Nella Fantasia that I had found, and I sang it for my mum, and my mum started crying, and my nan just kind of like fell to the floor. So I was like, I think that's the reaction we're going for.
And Kayleigh and her mum Kathy join us now. You're very welcome to the show. Kayleigh, we're so sorry you've been through this terrible ordeal, and only last week you had an operation. How did that go?
It didn't go as planned. It could have went a lot better. I had a leak at the back of my eye, and they were going in originally to fix the leak, and then they were going to decide on the table if they were going to try and fix the retina. When I was on the operating table, the leak bled and poured blood into my eye, so they have to wait 4 to 6 weeks to decide what they're going to do. They have to let it settle down.
Can you see anything out there?
Not at the minute, no.
Nothing.
Nothing.
At the minute, no, but up until this occurred last week?
Up until this, I had
Was it partial vision?
Partial vision, yeah. It was up and down. You know, they battled and tried to get back what they could, but with a retina detachment, you know, it does fade away, and it's very difficult to get any back.
This happened to your eye because of an attack that occurred one evening. Now, tell us what went on in the lead up to this attack.
In the lead up to it, there was text messages, there was things being screamed at me, like, you know, fat girl and whaley and my nicknames.
And this was from an alleged or supposed friend?
Yeah, I called her my friend.
So she suddenly turned on you one day. What impact did that have on you mentally?
I couldn't understand it. I was just kind of saying, well, what did I do? You know, I was kind of saying to myself, you know, I've been nothing but a friend to her, and all of a sudden she's flipped, and I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Were you afraid to leave the house?
Petrified. There were days when, you know, my mum would say, you know, come on, we're going out, and I'd be like, no. And if I did go out, I'd do whatever I had to do, and I'd come back and I'd be straight like a shot into the bedroom. I didn't want to be out.
Kathy, she came to you and told you that she was being bullied, and you did, as most parents would do, and try to advise her to rise above it.
Yeah, I mean, we sat down and talked about it, you know, and I said, look, okay, they're calling you names and things like that. Does their opinion matter to you? You know, is what they think about you important? You know, and she kind of said, well, no. So there have been a lot of text messages coming in as well. So got her a new phone, changed the number, you know, and said, look, the best thing is just ignore them. Just completely and utterly ignore them, which I thought was the right thing to do. But, you know, looking back on it now, the more then that she ignored them, the more they tried to get a reaction from her, you know, and that, I think, is what led up to, you know, the night of the attack. She was walking away from them, going to her friend's house, and she hadn't reacted, you know, so they made sure, or she made sure that she did react.
Because there was a gang that day. It was one person in particular who attacked you, but there was a gang, and they had phones, and they filmed the attack. and the doctors now think that it was your ponytail and the way she grabbed your ponytail and hiked you back, basically, to attack you, that may have done the damage to the retina.
Yeah, my hair was back in a ponytail, and at first we kind of thought it could have been the punch, because she punched me right under here. So we kind of said, well, you know, the force that came with that, that's probably what it was. And then when we were speaking to the doctors, they were probably, no, it was the yank. It was probably the yank, probably just because I wasn't expecting it.
Will you tell us what happened that day?
I was walking to my friend's. My friend was going to stay in my house, so we walked to her house. And on the way, this girl appeared out of nowhere. And like my mum said, I completely ignored her. And we got up to the top of the road, and she spat in my hair and she spat in my face. And again, completely ignored her and walked just up around the corner, across the road. And I thought they were kind of backing off a bit, so we just kept walking. And all of a sudden there was a yank from the back of my head and a punch straight into the front, right in under my cheek. And I tried to push her off, and if I tried to push her off, she'd bite up my arms.
She actually bit your arm.
Yeah.
Were there teeth marks on your arm?
Yeah, there was a lot of bruising as such. There was redness from where she'd bit. She kind of bit twice that we could see, and then just, you know, there was no real, you know, physical injuries. Is it physical injuries?
Well, no, there was no teeth marks, so you could see the marks on her arm where she had been bitten, and on her face. But you know, the injuries didn't look too bad. You know, I was worried about the bite mark, but I was more concerned by her demeanour afterwards. You know, because straight away, you know, you could see her retreating into herself. You know, and this kind of had been the last straw for her. And my concern was her emotional state. You know, I figured the bruises would heal up. We didn't realise. I didn't bring her down to the hospital because, you know, when the guards were there, they looked at the injuries, and it was bruising. You know, it was bruising and bite marks.
And you need to get your hands on this video. You haven't managed to so far.
No.
But it was circulated around.
So certainly we met a girl because I didn't know about the video until we met somebody in the shop a couple of days later. And she said, you know, I heard what happened to you, and you know, the video that's going around, you know, and then we discovered that there was a video going around. You know, I've scoured YouTube, I can't find it, but it certainly went around, you know, so there's never an end to it because it's always going to be there, you know. And what I can understand is of the 12 people or so that were there, not one of them, you know, had the backbone to stand up and say, hang on a second, you know, it's wrong, you know, and this girl's walking away, she's done nothing. And not one of them.
Or to at least hand over the video.
Yeah.
At least do that.
Yeah.
The guards were involved.
Yeah.
So surely this girl's parents were contacted. What did they say?
I spoke to the parents after the guards had spoken to them. The girl admitted, you know, she admitted that she did it, and her reasoning for doing it was that she had flipped. That's it, that she just flipped.
Not good enough.
No, I spoke to the parents afterwards, and, you know, I said, look, I said, two sides to every story. You know, did Kayleigh do something to provoke this, or to, you know, is there something that she had done or said that may have caused this girl to feel so angry towards her? And they said, no, she just flipped. It's just one of those things, you know, and that's what's hurt the most, you know, because it's not just one of these things, you know, and the effect that it had on Kayleigh, even before the eye injury was discovered. You know, we knew there was something wrong with her physically, but it was her mental state and that withdrawal, and I couldn't reach her. Nobody could reach her.
And Kayleigh, you know, you say if it hadn't been for music, that you probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Had you suicidal thoughts?
I wouldn't say. I would say that I didn't want to give up, but I didn't want to be here either. And I think, you know, had I not had music, I probably would have had an awful lot more of them thoughts.
When the doctors discovered that the retina had been detached, you had to go through an operation which left you for 6 weeks lying face down into a pillow.
Yeah.
This was in the hope that it might remedy itself.
Yeah. I had to lie still, completely still, for how many weeks?
It was 6 weeks between the first and second operation. She certainly had to lie still for a good lot of those weeks, and then just to be sure, she stayed in the same position then for the rest of the time. And then unfortunately when she went back then, it hadn't healed properly. So her surgeon's fighting tooth and nail to get, you know, to save anything he can, because technology could change. You know, at the moment, the damage is permanent and there's no coming back from it. So she'd have the second operation, and they have to sew a band around her eye to try and hold it into position, and then she has to stay in this one position. 5 minutes every hour she can get up, go to the toilet, have something to eat, get back into position. And it's only 5 minutes, that's it, and it's set on a clock. So it's run to the bathroom, run and have something to eat, and get straight back down.
Now, you'd imagine that the people involved, the girls, the gang, that they would be mortified and really, really sad that they've caused all of this. But you were in a shop recently and you heard some of the people involved humming. And what were they humming?
They were humming Three Blind Mice.
So, no remorse.
There's absolutely no remorse, absolutely none. And the word sorry would have made all of the difference. Whether it was done anonymously in a card, you know, or a note, just say, look, I'm sorry, without having to explain who it was or why they'd done it. But the lack of remorse and the, you know, when you pass some of these kids on the street, or in particular the girl who did it, and she just, you know, gives, it's just the slightest little smirk. Yeah. You know, and you just think to yourself.
But does it not tell you all you need to know about those people as well?
Well, it should do, you know, but I mean, these kids were
not good enough.
It's not, you know, and it wouldn't have taken much for this to, you know, for the emotional damage not to have been as bad as it was. You know, sometimes good kids do bad things, you know, but if they had just, you know, had the strength to just turn around and say, look, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean for this to happen.
The positive that has come out of this awful tragedy is this wonderful discovery of your singing talent. And while you were lying there, you were listening to Il Divo. And Ness and Dawn, Nella Fantasy, which is a song that's very special to me as well. So you start singing that, and you were absolutely wowed by this.
I was stunned, you know, because I mean, when she'd been singing before, it was nothing special, you know. It was just sing along. She's always loved music and always loved singing. But I mean, you know, vocally, you wouldn't have said, my goodness, you know, isn't she a star of the future? You know, it was just normal kids singing. And then she asked one day if she could sing us a song. And I said, yeah, absolutely great. If she'd ever asked to go skydiving off the Himalayas, I would have done anything that she'd had interest in. So we made a big fuss and we all sat down on the couch and, you know, set up the microphone and everything else. And she started singing. And I had to kind of say to myself, have I suddenly just become a stage mom, you know, that I think my child is wonderful, or was that just something, and it was the pain in her voice is what got to me.
Okay, well, let's have a listen, because we just have a short clip of you singing.
I close my eyes and listen to a voice of in my darkest hour, it comforts me when I feel I just can't cope. I close my eyes and listen to that voice of hope.
Wow, beautiful. You're not a stage mom. She's absolutely wonderful. Kayleigh, we just want to give you the last word. There's an awful lot of teenagers out there suffering. We know it. We've seen the suicides in recent months. What would you say to anybody out there who may be going through the pain that you've gone through as well?
To anybody being bullied, I would say never give up. They're my 3 words that got me through it. I have it tattooed on my foot. Never give up. Stay strong. And I would say put any negative energy that you have, put it into something positive.
Well, we'll watch out for your music career, because that is going to develop, because it should, because you've got a fantastic talent. And we thank you for coming in, and we wish you the very best for the surgery that's coming up.
And we also wish you justice. We hope you get that soon. Thank you.